Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well and that you're staying safe. Today we're going to be trying a region that I personally really love, and they have actually really helped me with my journey of Syrah, for example. The wine that we're going to be trying today is called the Fontenille, from Domaine Fontenille from the Luberon Valley in the very southern region of the Rhone Valley in France. It's almost in the Provence region of France, but it's just right there at the very end of the Rhone area. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, a little bit about this region. So the very southern end of the Rhone Valley, it tends to be Mediterranean climate, so that means very dry. And so they look for varietals that are going to be drought resistant. And both Grenache, Noir, and Syrah are both drought resistant, which is very good for this area. The blends down here tend to be a little bit more Grenache dominant, which we actually see in this case, where it's 70% Grenache Noir and 30% Syrah. And something that's very important that happens down here, because it is a Mediterranean climate and it's very warm, there's this wind that comes from the north of Rhone and it goes all the way down to the very south and into the Provence region, into the Mediterranean part. This wind is called the Mistral, and it is very strong. In fact, some people said that if you're not used to it, some people tend to go a little bit crazy. I don't know anybody that's gone crazy there, but very cool, very strong wind. And what this wind does, other than just cool down the vineyards, it actually helps get rid of pests, and it also discourages mold growing on the vines as well. So it's a very good place if you want to start looking into organic and biodynamic type of farming. Hence why this winery actually is also organic and biodynamic. Okay, so a little about the Domaine de Fontenille. It was actually purchased in 2013 by luxury brand owners Frédéric Boussier and Guillaume Fauché. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. They ended up focusing on all of their energy into this domain as a reconstruction sort of project. Originally, the domain was built in 1638, and it was beautiful then, and it's still beautiful now, and it's still on its original structure today. They've actually transformed it into a luxury small boutique hotel as well. And so if you're thinking about visiting the Mediterranean area in France, the southern Rhone and top part of Provence, it would be a really good place to visit. They're also upgrading their winemaking practices into organic and biodynamic by hiring a very sought after enologist called Laurent Berlemont, and she has actually been working really hard in changing that whole vineyard from 2013 to now into organic and biodynamic practices. Berlemont is also a Provence specialist, so she specializes down in that area, and she ended up replanting the entire estate with a mix of vineyards and vegetable gardens harmonious to the ecosystem to that region. Let's open up the bottle. Okay, I also just want to show you something really cool as well. So you might see these sort of labels as well in some of the French wines. This one says récoltant, which means that they're a grower, so they actually grow and harvest their own grapes. So another fun little fact from Jen, yay! So like I said, this wine is from the 2017 vintage. It is 70% Grenache Noir and 30% Syrah. This sits in our smooth section, and I am just really excited to try it. So this would be classified as a pale ruby. It's kind of right on the cusp of a medium ruby, but since I can read letters underneath on a white piece of paper, it seems pretty pale to me. Okay, so for my initial notes, I find that it's not incredibly pronounced in aromatics. It's a little bit more subtle, but I think it's also something that if you just let it sit in the glass, it's going to open up a little bit more. A lot of that cassis, like it's very like black licorice and cherry and red plum and white pepper and violets. Ooh, so good. It smells a little bit mineral as well. It smells as though you picked up a rock and you smelled a rock. Or what's another way of smelling mineral? Think of like a fresh rain, and when you come out and you can smell the stones, then that's kind of that sort of rock sort of note. Beautiful, beautiful nose. Oh, I love Rhone! Balanced acidity, great tannins, good alcohol integration. This is just why I like the Rhone Valley. Okay, so let's do it again for flavor, but basically for the structure components, it has a good acidity. It's not super high. It tends to be about a medium, but the tannins on there are pretty structured, but I wouldn't say grippy. I'm getting that cassis note again. It's right there in the forefront. A lot of blackberry, but I get some strawberry as well. So a good mix between red and black fruits. I'm getting a lot of spice and a lot of minerality as well. So a lot of that white pepper note, but I get also kind of a chalky minerality on the palate as opposed to that almost like a pudding stone smell. I'm getting more chalkiness, and oh my god, it's so good. I can't wait for you guys to try a Rhone special, because this is my area that I like to really talk about. Oh, you know what, another note that I actually forgot to talk about that I'm getting now, and that's why I just smelled it, is I'm getting a little bit of kind of like a hay or a barnyardy note. It's not super overpowering though. It's very soft, but it's coming out now, and I think it's just because it's starting to open more as well. This is something that I really like about the Rhone wines, is that they tend to have a little bit more of a barnyardy note, and that's just me personally. What I would pair with this would be red meat, right off the bat. Red meat, right? And not only red meat, but I would go for gamier flavors, and I would go for the gamier flavors because of that little slight bit of barnyard note to it. Also the minerality, I think it would just go really well with gamey sort of flavors. Lamb, venison, elk, boar, that wild boar sausage pizza from Without Papers. I could see more sausages in there too, just a lot of gamey sort of red meats. You could go for your duck as well, because duck is a good transition between poultry and those sort of heavier meats, cheeses, charcuterie, just all of that, all of the yum. Another thing that I would actually pair with this is something that I'm going to be eating tonight, and it's a traditional Romanian food actually, and it's called mici, or mich. Traditionally you have it with beer and bread and mustard, but tonight I'm going to be having it with this Rhone wine. It's kind of like a little, I like to call it like a sausage hamburger, but it tends to be like a blend between lamb and beef and sometimes pork, with some spices, and then you just barbecue it, and it's like full of fat and like deliciousness. So I would pair that with this tonight, and I'm very excited. Okay, food. This is why I'm getting fat, not because of COVID, but because I like to eat. I hope you take advantage of the deal of 6 packs at 25% off of the Domaine de Fontenille and the Rouge blend. So I really hope you guys enjoy, and that you try it and then get back to me, because I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Okay, bye. Take care.